Hey kids, I picked this Craftsman Snowblower up last winter. It's a 27-inch cut, 1450 is 14.5 foot-pounds of torque. Craftsman, sold by Sears, has a little 10 horsepower Briggs and Stratton engine on it. It's in pretty good shape, and it has the things I like for snowblowers, where you can disengage one wheel so it turns better. I think they call this one here, they call it the easy steer. And it has the ability to move the chute. And oh, that doesn't work. Yeah, there's a cable right there, so that must be broken. And the lady that put it on Marketplace said that the oil spit out and she hasn't started it. She didn't think it was going to be worth her while to get it fixed, and she was just going to buy a new one. She said it is a 2012. When I went to pick it up, I could see that it has the dreaded pull cord broken, which I see a lot of times when people don't want you to pull it over. So let's see if there's actually any oil in it at all. When I picked it up, she had it outside, and there was about 2 feet of snow. It was around back of her house, and there was no way to get it off the deck other than to literally just pull it through the snow. She said she'd help me, and I pulled the handlebars and she pushed on the front of it, and I can't believe we got it out to the road. I was so tired, by the time I got it out there, I could barely get it on my trailer. But overall, I think it's in fairly good shape, other than the engine problem. But all that looks half decent in there for its age. So let me put this in a tripod and we'll check that oil and we'll go from there. We were at a horse show last week, and I've caught COVID for the second time this year. How does this come off here? Oh, that's weird. It has lots of oil in it. It's way over full. It's way up to here. So that adds to the mystery. I wonder if it has like a torn head gasket or something, and the oil was just leaking out of it. I don't know. Well, I'll see if it has any fuel. No, that's completely dry, nice and clean in there. That's a good thing. Let's take the spark plug off and stick a camera down in there to see what we're dealing with. I don't want to move the piston until I have a look inside, because I just really don't know. You just never know when you talk to these people if they have any idea what they're talking about. So it's better just to take it one step at a time here so we don't ruin anything that's salvageable. I swung the snowblower around so we could have a look. Take the spark plug out, get the camera out, have a quick peek at the cylinder. That looks really good, actually. Okay, let me grab my camera here. In order to get this pull cord assembly off, so we can move the piston, it looks like everything from this pull cord shroud is under 1,000,000 pieces of plastic. So I guess what we have to do is take bolts off until it all falls apart. What's that? Acura. I didn't know what that was. There is a couple of bolts up top here holding this piece on, so we'll take that off. I suspect we're going to have to take this all off anyways to clean that carburetor if we ever have a chance to get this engine running. When I was young, I can't remember how old I was, but I was still in school, I remember that. I bought a snowblower and I thought I was gonna make a fortune. And I had a little car with a little trailer, and Dad gave me a bag phone. And I started snow blowing driveways. I can't remember what I charged, like it was not very much, 20 bucks or something. And the first snowstorm was on like a weekend, so it was no problem. And then people started calling me after it got around. Oh, that's interesting. All that is something to cover up this functionality if they used it for something else. Huh. So, must be one more bolt. There's another bolt here on the side. So, the problem was everybody wanted to be blown out before they went to work in the morning, so I had to get up real early and have all these driveways done before like 7 o'clock sort of thing. And no matter how cold it was, I was just a wash of sweat after doing 4 driveways. I was also like trying to shovel steps, and it was just mission impossible. So I think there's 3 nuts, one down here, one here, one down further that need to come off. So anyways, yeah, it didn't take me long to figure out I had made a terrible mistake. So I finished out that year, and I got out of that business pretty quick. And then I was going to buy, then I got in my head that I wanted to buy a truck plow. And I had a friend of the family who basically, he ran a plow for a few years, and he basically told me I was crazy to do that, and explained all the reasons why I wouldn't want to do that, working all night. His plow truck would break, then he'd have to pay another company more money to come and do his driveways, and so he wouldn't make any money during the snowstorm. Plus his truck was always breaking down, and he had a little 1/2 ton, and he would get that thing stuck, and then he'd have to call a tow truck to come and pull him out of the snowbank. So that was the end of my Plow King days. I'm glad I gave it a try, because I would have always thought, oh, this is such a great thing. That carburetor's might have to come off, might have to be loosened. To loosen these studs up, I'm going with an inverted Torx, and it is an E5. Separated. It's not a big deal. I guess we can get a new one. Wasn't careful enough. Alrighty. Okay, have the camera set up. Let's put the camera down in the cylinder. So we have some carbon buildup on top of the piston. That's quite normal. There is some cylinder scoring on the side there. I'd like to be able to get my finger in there to feel it. I sprayed some PB Blaster in there. That's what you're seeing on the side. There's a valve. Valve looks good. Cylinder wall looks... Oh, I lost it. Cylinder wall looks good there. You can see some scoring there, but this camera makes things look bad anyways. So it's hard to go by that. But it doesn't look like anything catastrophic happened in there. Sometimes I find I get myself into, if it's bending, bend it more mentality, which is not good when you're working on this old pieces of junk. So sometimes I just need to go and relax for a minute, calm down. I should have taken that carburetor off right off the first. I bent that spring a little bit. I started working with one glove because I couldn't find my other glove, so there is nothing wrong with that. The previous owner, she had it out on her deck. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like it's been out on the deck its whole life, but at least that last year. And then I pushed it around back. It was under a tarp all spring and summer. It's the fall now, but I should have maybe kept a little bit better care of it. I'm wondering if she overfilled the oil and it was just spraying out everywhere because it has too much oil in it. I think our next steps should be take that carburetor apart and clean it, drain some of the oil out to get it back to where it's supposed to be, set this gap, set the spark plug gap, and put a little fuel to the carburetor, and let's see what it's doing. I lost audio here, so I'm going to do a voiceover. We're going to take this carburetor apart. It's a Nicky. I use my impact. It just, usually if you just put it on a low setting and hit it once, it gets those screws free. It's quite clean. When I opened it up, there was a little bit of dirt in the bottom of the bowl. Nothing too serious. Take the float off. I'm just shaking it. There's no gas in it. the needle look good. The main jet was clear. The emulsion tube looks good. Just trying to take off the gasket here, being careful not to rip it. It's stuck in a few spots and it won't come out. There's the dirt there in the bottom of the bowl. I'm just going to take some Scotch-Brite and clear up that old gasket on there. And I missed a little O-ring right here, so I went back and took that out so it doesn't expand in the ultrasonic. That's all there is to these little carburetors. I'm going to take it and throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner after I clean up the old gasket. Things came very clean in the ultrasonic cleaner. Super happy with that. Here's the main jet. It was nice and clean. Anyways, it's weird that this thing is as old as it is because it doesn't have a lot of hours on it by the looks of things. Drop that. Oh, that's not going to fit. That main jet goes in there. The needle back on. Slide this through. After I got it out of the ultrasonic cleaner, I sprayed carb cleaner down all these passages. It's kind of neat to take 5 seconds and do that to see where they all go, where the gas flows. I'm going to try to put this gasket on one more time. I think I caught it when I put the bowl on and damaged it a bit. We need to order new ones, but they're going to be a while, so I was going to try to put it together just to see if the engine worked. The problem with the casting on this is there's no way to index that gasket, so you have to put it on this side. So we'll try this again. That little piece goes right in there. And you can see that this is deformed a little bit. Doesn't look good. All right, I have a test tank hooked up here. I'm just going to see if it will hold fuel. I'll turn this on, see what we get. Okay, I think I had better success that time. Nothing's leaking out. When I put it together the first time, it started leaking instantly. All right, let's throw this back on and see if we can get the engine to run. Let's see if we can drain some oil. Yeah. It's turning the whole thing. This might not go as planned. It's only November the 10th, and it is so cold in this garage. The door froze in the winter. The door froze in the winter, and it kept pulling, tore the door all to pieces. So it needs to be replaced. But I never got it done, and it's too late now because it needs some work done to the wall. So I'm gonna have to do it next year now. Get this out of here. This is something that I like to take care of every year when I do my maintenance. So this doesn't get stuck on like that. That's dirty. I thought that looked really clean when I checked it. Smells like gas. So we'll let that drain out and then I'll turn you back on. Okay, so that has finished draining. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it is just completely filled full of gas. Let me grab the carburetor here. So the fuel comes in the inlet tube here, and inside this bowl was that float with the needle and seat, and when the fuel fills this bowl, the float literally floats on the fuel and it presses that needle up into the seat to shut the fuel off. And what probably happened is it got stuck and it stayed open, and the fuel travels up the main jet and into the cylinder and then leaks down past the rings and into the crankcase of the engine. So we've already cleaned that carburetor. Hopefully that's going to be okay. And we've drained the oil, so I'll put fresh oil in here and we'll see if we can put it back together and get it running. And then we're going to have to drain the oil a couple times to flush out any remaining fuel. So this isn't a bad thing as far as hopefully we don't need a new engine, and hopefully we're good to go. So let me clean this up and I'll get some oil, find out how much it's supposed to take, and I'll turn you back on. All right, I put the oil in. It took 26 ounces or 0.8 of a liter. It's funny, I think I was mentioning the other day that I was just coming off having COVID, and I don't think I lost my sense of smell, but I have such a bad cold that I can't smell a lot, but I could smell that gas. So that might have saved us some work if I had opened that up and smelled it the other day when I checked the oil and noticed that it was over full. So we're gonna replace the pull cord on this assembly, and it looks to me to be about a 5.5. This is a 5.5. I went ahead and I cut it to 60 inches and I burnt the ends to try to help it from fraying. Now, I'd be lying if I said this was to this machine or if I just had it laying around. I have no idea. Maybe the lady gave it to me. It's been too long ago now, so I don't remember. So it's the same thing. You're going to take the, it's going to be hard to hold this. You're going to take this and turn it counterclockwise until it stops, however many times that is. So you're winding that little spring counterclockwise. And then you have to line up this hole here to the little hole inside. This one might be a little more challenging. We'll see how it goes. Oh no, there's lots of room, I think. Okay, the 5.5 is not fitting, so we're going to have to go down to a 5. So I'm just going to put a screwdriver in to hold it, and I'll go quickly and grab some 5, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back again with 60 inches of number 5. Ends are burnt. I don't like to cut out my mistakes because it's how I learn, how we learn, and so that's going to go, I don't know if you can see that, right up through there, and then we have to get out that little hole. This one's fairly big, so it should be easy. Yep. And to be honest, I've never used that 5.5 on anything. I thought today was going to be my chance to finally use it, because it looked, when I compared it, it looked big. But most things that I work on take the 5 and not the 5.5. So we'll take the other end, I'll put it through here. I just like to pull them tight with a pair of pliers. And then I'm going to take my screwdriver out and I'm going to let it wind back up slowly. Try not to get my fingers caught. That should be good. I let that carburetor sit for an hour with fuel in it and it never leaks, so I think we're good to go there. I'm just looking at this ignition coil, and by eyesight at least, it looks like the bottom part is in closer than the top part. So I'm going to loosen that up and readjust it. And I have some corrosion here. It's not going to affect anything other than if it gets too big, it could touch. So I'm just going to take some light sandpaper and I'm just going to rub that down. I don't see anything or I don't feel anything. Maybe a little bit right there. There, nothing too serious. Just gonna grab a business card, if I can find one. The spark plug's supposed to be at 30,000 and it was at 25, so I reset that. Anybody remember what order we took things off? I know we had to loosen the carburetor to get that shroud off. So we'll start with that shroud. I momentarily misplaced the bolts. This piece here went there. These are just pieces of trim, really. I think this went on like that. I think that gasket on the back side on the intake is going to be okay. Boys, that does not look good. I want to look at that again. This throttle linkage, I probably won't be able to show you this real clear, but this throttle linkage goes down in there, and you have to have this a little bit loose to get it in, and then this just clips over like to lock it in like that. And then there's a little hole right there, and this little spring has to go in the hole, and that just takes the slack out of that linkage from vibrating back and forth like that. Tighten these up. Inverted Torx E5. Then we had the gasket, which is not in good shape, right there. Cat hair on it. Then we had the screen. Couple spacers. Couple of washers. Got the fuel hose. Throw this primer back on right there. And then this piece here. Went on here somehow. That. Gonna have to adjust this. There's gonna be two pieces that have to go on together here. Kind of like that way. I'm making it harder than it's should be, obviously. That's probably it right there. Except for this isn't lined up on the top. There we go. All right, let's get some bolts on it. Some nuts. I ended up with a bolt that I don't know where it goes. I think these ones here go up top, but I'm not sure. Yeah, much better. Now that spark plug is not tight. Now this little piece here was, cover this up. Okay, looking good. I have no idea where that came from. I'll have to keep looking. What else do we have? We have the key. And the choke goes on. It has a wide part on this side and a really narrow part on this side. Wide, narrow. Perfect. Unless I'm missing something, I put the oil in it, put everything back together. There's no fuel in it, so I'll take it down off of this stand, put some fuel in it, and I'll meet you out front. Okay, I drug it outside. I checked to make sure we had oil in it. It's good. This doesn't have a fuel shut off that I can see, so that is a bad design problem. We had the choke on. Prime it. I have it plugged in because I'm not going to pull the pull cord. Let's see what we get. Success. I don't even see how you shut it off without taking the key off. That is weird. Let's fire it back up and see if the impellers move. That's good news. I couldn't see the impeller moving, but I saw dirt fly out of there when I held the lever down. So I'll check the video and let's take it back inside and do the yearly maintenance on it. It's about a week later and I'm going to do some fall maintenance. I just had the snowblower outside and warmed it up so we could change this oil again. That's looking more like oil. No gas smell, which is always good. Nice and warm. So I will let that drain out and then I will turn it back on. All right, I got the oil all drained out of it, and I use this, who makes this? Plum Shop pipe thread compound, and it lubricates and seals, and I put it on threads like this, just a little tiny bit, so it helps me for next year. Nothing serious, but when we went to take it off this year, had a little bit of a trouble with it, so I thought I had a socket for that on the bench, but I must have put it away, which is weird because I never put anything away. Okay, I'm going to tip the snowblower up on the chute so we can get at so we can take a look at the friction wheel. All right, I tipped the snowblower up on its chute. I like to put some cellophane underneath the gas cap to stop the gas from leaking out. That works perfect. We have an access panel right here on the back. I guess it's not on the back, it's on the bottom. Well, this is definitely not what I was expecting to see. This is different than a typical friction wheel drive system. I just went and did some research, and it's a CVT transmission. I see a lot of people have had trouble with the bearings in this transmission, and Craftsman says it's a non-serviceable transmission, but I have seen a couple of guys replace the bearings. The main problem is all the gears inside this black box are made out of plastic. This smaller pulley here is a CVT pulley, and the lever on the handlebar controls the forward and reverse speeds, and then the larger pulley here on the bottom engages the auger. I noticed when I first started the machine up, it was edging forward a little tiny bit, but that, when I started it up today, it never did that, so I think we're good. They're just plastic. The pulley looks beat up. That pulley looks like it's seen better days. Both of those belts look fine. Interesting how this one works. I checked the manual and it says don't lube anything in here, and I just wanted to check those belts. There's another access point up top to check the belts there as well. Might have been a little bit easier maybe. I'm just going to put a little bit of anti-seize on each one of these bolts before I put them back in. There's a little bit of rust here and there, and I just like to spray a little bit of rust converter on it. I'll show you what I'm looking at here. Doesn't really matter to me what this snowblower looks like, so I'm just going to rub that off with a wire brush, and then I'm just going to spray some rust converter on it to try to hold it from rusting anymore. I'm going to take the wheels off because I like to make sure that they have some anti-seize on the axle, because sometimes you can't get them off easily. It looks like they have a shear pin on here or something. I don't like that. I like those little clips, so I'm going to replace that. So it's rusty, and that's exactly what you don't want to see. I'll just wipe that off. Put a tiny little bit of anti-seize on there, and next season or any time in the future that has to come off, it'll be a lot easier, trust me. Throw that back on. I like these little pins a lot better. I don't know what they're called, lynch pins or something like that. Perfect. I will do the other side and we'll move on to something different. Everything came together for us. We got lucky on this one. I still need to buy a new cable here. That makes the chute go up and down. I have some fresh 5W30 to go in it. And the snowblower sat for about, not quite a week. and it started second pull, but I'm going to put a new plug in it anyways. I actually have the manual, and it called for a Champion QC12YC, which is exactly what it had in there. So that was good. So I'm going to throw in this new plug, throw the oil in. I'm going to order that cable so the chute can go up and down. I started to treat any rust down in the auger area with some rust converter. I bought some paint that's candy apple red for rust, and I'll spray that on there just to make it look a little bit better. This is a brand new spark plug, and I have never got a spark plug that was gapped properly. This is supposed to be at 30,000, and it's about 22. So when you buy a new spark plug, these little things here are just a couple dollars. You need to set that gap. Mostly they're at 30 thousandths, but you have to check your manual. And I'm not sure if I mentioned before, but I'll mention it again. The lady that sold me this, previous owner, she actually gave me the manual, and I found it today. So that's going to be it for this one. We'll get on another project here soon. And thanks for hanging out. Later.